Yo, what's up, y'all? We got a cool stream today. Bit of story time. Our classes, it's kind of a shit show, honestly. So I had 2 classes today. Before those classes, I get an email saying that I can't take a class that I took yesterday because it's too similar to another class I've already taken. So now the 2 classes I did Monday, I'm no longer taking. So tomorrow is Wednesday, the second day of classes for that schedule, and I'm going to 2 new classes. It's a little weird. And then today, I had 2 classes, one of which has 5 people of the 40 slots, which is fine, but it was canceled, so that's fine. And then the second one had 3, and I'm the only one who showed up. Which was, like, I think the professor was, like, depressed. Because she was in Illinois teaching this class for 20 years to 100 people. Now she goes to Vanderbilt, her first class ever. It's 1 person. New chair. This chair I had since freshman year, but it was out in the living room, so I stole it, so America doesn't have to sit on that shit. No America today. She's chilling over there, but today we gotta get in and get out. There's something I'm doing on stream today, and then I'm getting off. But I think it's gonna be fun. I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. I worked pretty hard on it. Why are your classes so small? I don't know. Vanderbilt, like, fucked up political science. This is not how it used to be. Independent study for the win, basically. Did you work out? I did. Worked out this morning, too. What did America think of the fan cam? She liked it, I think, right? Micro celebrity status at Vanderbilt. 2 people approached me in the student union today. One of them was like, yo, Cory, I love Big Brother. Did you watch all the feeds? Matt, Jag, and Bowie were mean, especially Matt. I'm like, brother, trust me, like, I know, like. It happens a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of people who approach me in America, they want to prove their super fan status. They're like, fuck Cam, by the way. And I'm like, okay, man. It's like, sure. It's funny, for sure. Or a hat. I don't like how my hair is doing right now. Are you okay? You seem stressed. No, I feel okay. This stream's got to be pretty quick because we got a lot of cameos to do, and I got to drive her back to her place, and I have class at like 10 a.m. in the morning, so I'm just trying to be consistent and stream every day, even just for a bit. And today I think we have a good stream in store, so Flavor of Love, not today, not today. $10 a.m. ain't too bad. Hey, it is for a college student. Get the beanie. You guys want the beanie? You say so. Actually, I don't know where they are. I got a couple beanies. A.m. over 8 a.m., sure, but noon over 10, right? Yeah, all the producers are nice in person. Oh, Bills? Ugh. This is the Cory version of OnlyFans? What does that mean? Elaborate, please. Pete signed Spoelstra to an 8-year extension. Fucking well deserved. I'd sign him to a 20-year extension. How long is your CBS contracting? 3 years from when I signed it, I think. You gonna stream thoughts on the traders? I mean, I'm sure I'll mention it. I'm not gonna have like a dedicated traders thoughts, but I'll talk about it. How does contract work? I mean, like, we can't go on shows outside of CBS without CBS permission. Theoretically, if like I have a sponsor that's like super homophobic, CBS can say, hey, you can't do that, you're under contract. Like, anything that doesn't reflect well on them, they can shut down, basically. But you really have to make an effort to get in trouble. Class all week? I have class all week, yeah. 2 classes a day. It's not bad, though. To America's apartment, it's 5-10 minutes. Stay in Nashville after you graduate. I love Nashville as a city, but law school, job, so many things that can change it. No Temptation Island. No Temptation Island, no Deal or No Deal Island. It's not unlike old Hollywood contracts from the 30s. Do you guys want to know what we're doing today? The Thruple Show? Yeah. What we're doing today is, I'm telling you, we're doing story time. And we're doing a story time, and do you guys want to guess what the story's about? Not speed dating. Falling in love with America? No, it's not. That would be a weird story to tell. Zach and Marianne? Nope. Vegas? Nope. Someone said it. Surgery. And not really the surgery. Everything surrounding the surgery. Because it was a shit show. We're getting crazy. Okay? And I want you guys to not just take away my story. I want you to take away the theme surrounding the story, because there's a lot of important shit I have to say, okay? Breaking the NDA? Not really. No, I'm not breaking the NDA. Is this going to be boring? Depending on if you like invigorating content. You want to just jump into it? We ready? Did I make a PowerPoint for it? Fuck yeah, I made a PowerPoint for it. Guess how many slides? Guesses in the chat, come on. The correct answer is 38. Story time. I've got some notes on this monitor over here, so I'll be looking there periodically. So, you know, don't mind that. Not you giving us a speech, brother. Hey, let's see what happens. Okay. So, this is the story of the time where I got untesticled. This is going to be very exciting. So, the story starts in an unexpected spot. Senior year of high school. As you guys know, I was an avid member of the speech and debate team. I did speech. There's a distinction. Speech is more performative. Debate is more like, abortion is bad, abortion is good, that kind of thing, right? So I already shown you some of my speeches, but we're at a speech tournament, right? This speech tournament is at the University of Florida, the Florida Blue Key tournament, right? And I'm competing, right? The way it works in high school speech is You got 5 to 7 competitors in each round, and you take turns giving your speech or doing your performance, whatever the event is. And as you see, this is a. Does that guy look familiar to any of you guys? Does that look familiar to anyone? I see Goo Boy, Matt. That's right. That's Matt Norman. So, for side note, I'm gonna have a lot of tangents. For Matt's birthday one year, I paid a guy in Fiverr to make a picture, like it's a drawing of Matt, Colin Cowherd, Danny Sexbang from Ninja Sex Party, and then Freddy Fazbear, all like the boys. And this is the Matt one. And then this picture of me is this gives off criminally bad vibes, right? Like, I would not trust this person near anyone. Those chair legs look like your actual legs. So, these are graduation pictures, by the way, in case you're curious. Thank you so much for the sub, Mo. Okay. So, we're competing. This isn't Matt necessarily. This is actually another person, but we'll have Matt be the stand-in. And Matt's good, right? Matt's a real competitor. He's won tournaments. He's finaled at tournaments before. This is a preliminary round. It's like round 3. It's maybe 8:39 at night. And then I start to feel just a little bit of pain. You know, this guy Matt is up there speaking, and he has no idea that there's a storm brewing just a few feet away from him. And this storm was what I thought was of the lower back pain variety. And it was like blinding pain. Like, I thought it was a lower back pain, and I started panicking because it's not a pain you experience. It's not like I was running or working out or anything. I wasn't concerned about like long-term health consequences because I'm young. I'm gonna live forever. What I was worried about was fucking up the speech, because this is a prelim. If you fuck up a prelim, you might not even make it to like octafinals, quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. And this is a tournament. Like, I'm a senior. Like, I should win this shit. Like, I don't end up winning this tournament. I end up getting like 4th. But I'm very nervous about that side of it. The health part, I'm like, oh, this is just fucking inconvenient, right? But anyways, we're fast forwarding a bit. You guys can figure out what that's about later. Like a horse speeding up because of its jockey's whip, right? You know how like when a jockey is hitting the horse, it makes the horse go faster. You guys know what I'm talking about? I feel like that pain acted in the same way on me. Like, my testicle pain was whipping me to give a better speech. And I ended up getting ranked first in this round. First in the prelim. Pretty good, right? Claps in the chat, anyone? Any congratulations, well dones, anything? Thank you for the bits. I earned those. Pound 10, Ashley. So, anyways, I'm not worried about this. I end up going, I go upstairs to like the student union, and I pass out on a couch, and the pain subsides eventually, and I feel fine, right? I woke up feeling good as new. Now we're gonna fast forward a month. I'm parked in a car with a friend. And we're at Whole Foods. We're just hanging out, right, in the parking lot. It might sound weird, but there was nothing weird going on. It was all organic. But then I felt that same fucking pain again. In the lower back, right? And I'm like, fuck, what is going on? It's been like a month, right? So I thought this was like a one-off thing, like I was having a weird lower back day. But no, it's back, right? And this time there was no like Matt there to impress, right? There was no speech round for me to focus on. So I'm singularly focused on this pain in my lower back, right? Now, it's around this moment where I realize, perhaps, and this might sound crazy, the pain isn't in my lower back. because I'm starting to run some experiments, right? You guys know the scientific method. It's hypothesis, then you design. You got to get the materials and write out the procedures, and then you conduct the trials. I'm doing some experiments, and I'm realizing, wow, this feels painful in my groin. I feel very tender, and it's not good. But that's taboo. You know, I'm not gonna say that to my friend. So what I'm gonna say instead is I've got some lower back pain. And it wasn't very subtle because I was like cupping my groin, but that's what I said. That's what I said, and that's what we're going with. So now it's time to yeah, this is me saying I need to go home. And I did need to go home, right? This is where we meet our first key main character of the story outside of myself, of course. We're gonna call him Dr. Doug. All right. Now let me tell you something about Dr. Doug. He has some like wildly graphic diagrams in his office. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but for this guy, urology wasn't just his profession. You know, it was like a passion. You know, it was a labor of love. And you know, I wouldn't say it's far-fetched to say it's his love language as well, just based on the vibes, right? And you know, he came to examine me, and that was not awkward. You know, he's like, pull down your pants. I said, yes, sir. You know, it's hard to describe, right? I want to set the scene. So like, my pants were like a force field. And with them down, I feel like me and Dr. Doug could finally speak. Man to man. You guys understand? You guys feel this way? No? I see a couple yeses. I see one yes. Absolutely. Okay, you guys get it. So here's what he identifies, right? It's a 5-minute, he walks in, walks out. He says it's testicular torsion, intermittent, which means the testicle is twisting. Now let me describe what that means, because I don't want you to think it's like tetherball where there's a rope and it's just fucking, because it's not that, right? It's not that dramatic. Thank you, Ellie, for the prime. So there's the spermatic cord, which connects the whatever to your testicles, right? And that is what was twisting. So that delivers blood flow and everything else, right? So that's twisting, which is basically cutting off blood flow to one of my testicles. That's what's happening. And that's the pain I'm feeling, right? But it untwists itself after a few hours, right? So that's why it's intermittent. It's not like it just stays like that. So he identifies this. He correctly identifies this and says, okay, here's what you're going to do. Next time it happens, I want you to take a picture, because it's impossible to properly diagnose in the moment because it's not happening in the moment. All right, so he's just predicting based on my symptoms and what I'm describing. So he says, next time it happens, you take a picture, make an appointment with my office, and we'll deal with it. Right? So this is fine. I'm like, okay, sure, let's do that. Yeah, it's very common with dudes 16 to 20, right? Like that's around when it would happen, right? So I was like, all right, sure, that sounds good, man. So I go home and I'm chilling. Then it happens again, right? It happens again. And this time I'm at the Nutcracker, watching a friend perform in the Nutcracker, and this is a tough spot for it to happen. And I want you to understand, the irony is not lost on me where it happens, right? It's not lost on me. I recognize that my nut is cracking at the Nutcracker, right? Like my wish came true. You know? So this sucks, right? Like, this is not a good time. The pain was much, much worse, and I did exactly what Dr. Doug told me to do. I went to the restroom, I took out the phone, I forgot to turn off iPhone, you know, cloud photo sharing, which brought up a lot of issues later. We're not going to get into them. And I snapped a picture of my Drosselmeyer, and I made an appointment for the next day, right? That was the instructions I had to follow. You know? what I did. Snapped a picture of my dross, and then was on my way. Fun fact, this is a picture from the state tournament my senior year, finals in-person speech and debate tournament in high school. I won this tournament. I also had COVID at the tournament. But it was like early March. Like, we didn't even know COVID was like a real thing in Florida. That was badass. We did that story later. I lost 14 pounds at this tournament. It was 2 days. What is Drosselmeyer? Look, it's Drosselmeyer. So 12 hours after this, right? I go to bed. I make an appointment. I am in surgery. I'm in a hospital bed being prepped. Like, fuck. Kind of came out of nowhere. I was like, shit. Because I was waiting for it to just subside like it always did. It never subsided. I couldn't sleep. I was up for like 11 fucking hours. You know? So they're going to put me under anesthesia. Fun story. They actually were uncomfortable giving me anesthesia at first because, and this is their words, they said, Cory, you have the bodily dimensions of a child. So us, an adult hospital, right, I'm 18, we feel uncomfortable administering you anesthesia. And I was like, give me the fucking anesthesia. And the whole time, they think I'm nuts because I'm making the stupidest fucking corywurtenberger jokes ever. I'm saying, like, has anyone ever withstood the anesthesia and stayed awake? I'm gonna do that shit. I'm him. I was making, like, Walking Dead jokes. So what if I wake up, it's a zombie apocalypse? Like, I was just fucking popping off. And then right before they go to bed, here's what they tell me. Or I go to bed. I'm knocked out by the anesthesia. They go, Cory, we're gonna do everything we can to save the testicle. What? What the fuck does that mean? Since when? What do you mean save it? Because this was not even on the board for me. I thought it was just like, I get in there, untwist, and you're good. But their concern was blood flow has been cut off for so long that it's basically like dead muscle. It's a dead organ. So I was like, well, please save my testicle. It's like Saving Private Ryan, but Private Ryan was my testicle. You know, that was kind of the way I viewed it. And I was hoping they would accomplish it. But, you know, unfortunately, when I woke up, I could sense that a part of me was missing. You know, I felt like Voldemort whenever someone destroyed a Horcrux. You know that feeling when, like, you stabbed, like, the book and then Voldemort's like, ah! Like, that was kind of... That was how I was feeling. You know, Alvin was chilling. Simon, look at Simon, he was vibing. But Theodore was nowhere to be found. You know? I was told they did everything they could. But they could not save the testicle. Guys, can you guys drop a prime for my testicle? Just one. You're right, I don't deserve it. If I was better, I wouldn't lose it. F's in the chat, yep. Yep. R.I.P. Tessie. I wish I could tell you if it was the left or the right one. I still, to this day, I have no fucking idea. Thank you, Steel Cage, I needed that. Okay. You gifted a sub to Testicle UK. Thanks, man. Thank you, Meg. Okay. So, you know, I will say it's not all bad. We had a Vikings funeral. My brother was not a good marksman, but he tried his best, and I love him for that, you know? Thank you, Anonymous. You know the Vikings funeral where they have the boat and then you shoot the arrow? But that was it for a while. You know, I was recovering, I was submitting college apps, getting addicted to oxycodone, you know, all the chill post-surgery stuff. Maybe you guys know how it goes. Now, I'm trying to remember what the fuck this slide was for. Oh, I think this is the Vikings funeral. kind of got off track here. We must knock down Hadrian's Wall. That's how the Scots do it. Is that Matt? No, it's just a white guy. I know Matt looks like a white guy, but not every white guy is Matt, you know? Kind of like a square rectangle situation. So, I was back to normal life, just chilling, doing my thing. I was applying to colleges. All this happened like late December of my senior year, so I was super super stressed out. But I was in the hospital, in my little hospital bed, typing out applications, applying to Brown. I had this stupid ass 400-word essay about the open curriculum. I had to withdraw my application because of Vanderbilt, but what could have been, you know? And yeah, I mean, look, it was pretty good. Now, in that April, my dad approached me with the idea of maybe pursuing legal matters over the whole thing because the advice I was given was crazy, right? And I only kind of realized just how nuts it was. Get it? When I spoke to my doctor at the actual hospital, like the surgeon, and they were like, "Why'd you take so long to come in?" I'm like, "What do you mean? Here's the instructions I was told." And she's like, "That is horrible instruction. Like dangerously horrible instructions. Like if I had not gone into the hospital when I did, I could have been paralyzed. I could have ultimately died. I mean, it probably wouldn't have gotten to that because I would have been in such excruciating pain that I would like definitely fucking go to the hospital. But it was dangerous, right? And obviously, it resulted in the loss of a testicle. Like that's pretty nuts. That one was not intended. Okay, Matt's upset because during my second surgery, which was just for complications, doesn't really matter that much. I was supposed to go to a Heat game and a grilled cheese place in Miami with Matt, and I had to cancel on the last minute because I was going into surgery that day. Like a surprise surgery. But I heard he had a great time, so you should have gone, maybe. The second surgery I just had to have because like the first surgery was not healing well, like the stitches ripped. It was a fucking nightmare. Which hurt a lot, but it had nothing to do with the actual like malpractice. Okay, so my dad approached me with this idea, and I'm kind of hesitant because I'm not a very vindictive person. And Dr. Doug had given me a great fun fact icebreaker kind of thing, right? But the more research I did, and the more I talked to my surgeon, the more I realized his advice was like fucking irresponsible. The testicle being gone was serious, but it could have been a lot worse, right? So we started looking for a lawyer. And for a Jewish family where half the adults are lawyers, you'd think it'd be fucking easy, right? But it was fucked up. And medical malpractice suits are fucking notoriously difficult to win, right? Like physicians win 90% of jury trials, and those are the trials with evidence of medical malpractice. So, in cases where there's fucking evidence that would support the patient's claim, doctors win 90% of the time. Yeah, there's another stat I had here. Of 976 malpractice suits, they win 58, they being the doctors, 58% of cases medically considered indefensible. Impossible to win. Like, cases where, medically speaking, there is no fucking justification in the world for them to win. And they win 58% of them. Like, slam dunk, easy victory cases are like a coin flip in malpractice. And that's for a lot of reasons that we're going to get into. The point being for the whole attorney side of it, unless your case is like a slam dunk, easy victory, an attorney is not incentivized to take on your case because they're just going to take on your case for a lot of time and effort and then not win and get no commission. So that's pretty fucked up. But we found one eventually. I guess this is what we call him. We're gonna call him Doug number 3. Now he reached out. So I reached out to him. I had to like pitch my whole case, and he reaches out to Doug number 1, right? The doctor, Dr. Doug, and he asks for the clinical notes. Now, clinical notes are interesting because the way they work is every time you go in to see a doctor for an appointment, they leave notes about your appointment, right? Anything that's wrong, instructions they give, shit like that. So, in cases, I think Doug 2 is the surgeon, I think, I don't remember. So, in cases like this, when I say, hey, doc, you made me lose a testicle, they can check their records and actually see what they said, because they have, dozens of appointments every day, right? You know what I mean? So that's why they have clinical notes. And in malpractice cases, those clinical notes are incredibly fucking important, because there is an insurmountable problem in medical malpractice. So here's the deal, right? In medical malpractice, disputes of a he said, she said is not a he said, she said. Because we have a doctor with full documentation, a medical degree, and then a patient who has no knowledge of medicine, just recounting their experience. Not like they fucking took notes when they were there. And we're asking the jury, who would you trust? Who do you believe? The medical professional or random patient number 45? But I think what's important, because my story I think is unique, and we'll touch on why my story is unique. But I think we should first understand who and this is kind of the analogy I use. I could beat. It's gonna sound like a weird analogy. Let me back it up a little bit. Thank you, Bangarang George. I can beat the Scooby Gang in a fight. All of them. All of them at once. You know what? If it just came down to, duking it out, for sure. But if it came to a mystery-solving contest, I might be cooked. I'm not taking Scrappy. I've heard I had Scrappy-like tendencies. So, a doctor can be sued for sure. But when you're suing a doctor in the realm of medicine, it's kind of hard to beat them. Especially when it comes to an uneducated, uninformed jury. And when I say uneducated, I don't mean broadly uneducated. I mean uneducated on testicular torsion and the details surrounding it. Of course they don't know that. Why would they? So let's unmask. Get it? Scooby-Doo. The face of this rhetorical problem. Alright. Victims of medical malpractice. Well, here's my bio. I'm cisgender, straight, white, Jewish, 2 weeks out from one final growth spurt. Now, this picture is one of, and I'm going to say it, I sound like the guy from Survivor 46, this is the face of privilege. Can we get a sub for privilege? No, good. So, this is what I have going for me when it comes to malpractice, right? Now, here's the reality. We got Riley to say this quote. Medical professionals believe that poorer patients are more likely to make malpractice claims. Thank you, Pigpenny. That's not Riley? And now, this seems fucked up, right? This doesn't seem like a great thing to say. But there's a couple of reasons why. Here's the first theory. Doctors expect poorer patients to sue as a byproduct of the substandard care they receive. So this is almost like a chicken and the egg situation. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate the gift. Because poorer people receive less adequate care, that less adequate care is more likely to result in problems worthy of medical malpractice claims. Does that make sense? That's fucked up, but I think it tracks logically, right? And here's the second theory. Doctors allow implicit bias to cultivate targeted paranoia. Does that make sense? How do we feel about that? Do you guys think it's possible for doctors to have implicit bias? Yes, the answer is yes, right? Of course. And when you have these two things combined, you have somewhat of a reality of poor people receive substandard care, and doctors assume that poorer people are more likely to sue them. What happens is you have doctors who are practicing something called defensive medicine. Can we get a sub for implicit bias? That's right. Now, defensive medicine is an ultra-cautious, costly strategy that minimizes risk of lawsuit, not illness. So, I'm a doctor and I'm treating a patient who I would perceive as on the poorer side, probably a marginalized person of color in most cases, in a bad area. And instead of doing everything in my ability to treat their ailment, to diagnose whatever their problem is, I'm going to try to act in an extremely safe manner to ensure that my ass is covered and I'm not going to get sued. That's what defensive medicine is. They let their paranoia of people potentially suing them, let their care, their job, worsen. They do a worse job out of fear of lawsuit. And what happens is that results in more lawsuits because these doctors do a bad fucking job. You know what I mean? This is a big slide. So, 97% cite medical negligence as their primary motivation to sue. That seems pretty straightforward, right? And I think negligence is a good word to use. A lot of times people go to a doctor with an issue, and then the doctor says, it's fine, take an Advil. You know, and then 2 years later, their underlying condition rears its head, or even sooner in a lot of cases. This obviously happens disproportionately to, people of color and, generally kind of what you would expect implicit bias to do, right? 20% of patients cited compensatory damages as a motivation, which I don't want that to be perceived as a bad thing. Patients trying to get compensated for the trauma inflicted on them is not bad. And again, it's only as a motivation, not as the primary drive. You guys can sub for notes. I'm going to keep going. But, trust me, we'll catch you up. Don't worry. It's all good. It's all good. This slide's going to take me a while to get through anyways. Now, thank you, Anonymous. Now, here's the interesting part, and this is where it gets a little bit contradictory. 50% of non-sued doctors accept the 97% motivation. They accept that people are suing due to negligence. Thank you for the gift, Anonymous. But of those who are sued, they quickly flip, because when they're sued, they take it as a personal strike against themselves. They say, wait, you're saying my care is bad? Thank you, Anonymous, again. I appreciate it. And that's problematic. That's weird. 80% of doctors believe the compensatory damages are the main reason for the suit. So we have these two realities. We have patients suing because they're getting fucked with, and doctors thinking they're being sued because they're trying to steal their money. Now, I've been through a medical malpractice suit. It's not fucking worth it. It's a tremendous amount of money, but the amount of money you have to pay to get it done and the amount of time it takes, this is not like a career to be a medical malpractice prosecutor or plaintiff, you know? Thank you, Liam. I appreciate it. And they're brutally hard to win. You're mostly just wasting your time and losing money on legal fees. Okay. Are we good with the ads? Okay. Now, physicians react strongly to claims of medical malpractice for a couple of reasons. Like, the financial damage that these suits cause is obviously significant, but more importantly, it takes a massive toll on their reputation, right? If a doctor is sued for medical malpractice, that's going to reflect on their record. It's going to pop up when you look them up, and then they're going to be less likely to, attract other clients, right? I would use the word patients, but a lot of times clients is the more accurate word. The rhetoric of malpractice it's not flattering, right? Like, the phrases like willful and wanton neglect are much more likely to pop up. That's like a buzzword in malpractice than like, it was an accident and the doctors made a mistake. Because you're making a fucking legal case, you're going to say the doctor neglected my ailment, right? They were irresponsible, they were ignorant, whatever the case is, right? So doctors receive these suits, and understandably, Not saying it's a good thing, but it's definitely logical. Take it very personally. You know what I mean? On the contrary, the defense, right, so the doctors, they describe patients' grievances as mere bad outcomes, trying to detach themselves from the treatment, right? Like, I might have been the doctor, but my treatment, what I prescribed, my plan of treatment was fine. The outcome was not. I'm a doctor. I'm not a savior. I'm not God, right? And you know, I was actually going to get the phrase "bad outcome" tattooed on my surgical scar, but the artist who I approached wasn't metal enough. You know what I mean? Now, determining culpability when it comes to these cases requires stringent fucking analysis of the medical details of a case, like the medical facts, which is the fucking problem. Because juries don't understand that shit. You know what I mean? Like, juries don't understand medicine on the same level that doctors do. So doctors can spew whatever bullshit they want, and juries are just going to be like, yes, sir. Now, here's how you fix that. You recruit an expert witness. So the doctor is going to say, no, I gave you good advice, but my expert witness, who's probably also a doctor, or is credited with whatever, maybe it's a scholar in the field, or a doctor themselves, or has a degree, or whatever, is going to back me up. That's how you confront the issue. The problem is, that shit is impossible. This is what's called the conspiracy of silence, where physicians feel pressure to exhibit solidarity in the face of an outside threat. Does this sound familiar to any of you guys? Where else would this type of shit pop up? Yeah. The comparison I would make is policing. Where if you are a doctor and you testify against another doctor, you are perceived, labeled, ostracized. You are a rat. And the problem is, as a plaintiff in medical malpractice who needs an expert witness, they're almost impossible to get because they don't want to get ostracized. So what ends up happening is you have, like, expert witnesses for hire. Now, how do you think you overcome the conspiracy of silence as a plaintiff? What are you supposed to do? What's the way to get an expert witness? Money. Correct. Correct. Money is how you solve it. Now, the white wall of silence is pretty fucking crazy. Knowledge of a physician's incompetence is often kept from the public, while the physician continues to practice and to harm patients. I don't have much to say about that, but that's just the reality of the situation. You have doctors who routinely, fuck with their patients by accident. Most of them are trying to help, but they just can't, whether they're trying to protect their own asses or they're just not qualified to, have the office they hold, right? But that shit is pushed to the side mainly by hospitals. The reason being, they don't want the doctor to reflect poorly on them. So you think, okay, maybe then you fire the doctor, but that'll also create waves because the doctor needs a reason to be fired. And doctors, they're not like teachers. They don't have, like, pension, but they're not easily replaced. You know what I mean? All right. Let's talk about my deposition. I'm having a deposition And the deposition is environmental deposition. Now, here's the idea of a deposition. Both parties meet to gain testimony from each other, right? They're trying to gauge the witnesses to see if these witnesses are going to be good. They want to, before deciding whether they're going to go to court or not, they're going to say, can we go to court with these witnesses, right? Is Cory going to be a good witness in court? And I can tell you guys about my deposition. This is my friend Daniel. That's me in court. So, the questions I received in my deposition had very little to do with my actual surgery. Almost nothing. They asked me like some very, broad, big picture questions. But mostly what they asked me about was my family and my upbringing and my school. What's up, Richimbo? They said, Cory, has your parents have any history of drugs? That doesn't seem like a very relevant question. They say, Cory, I hear you're going to Vanderbilt. Tell us about that. Like, how'd you get in? Now, why do you think they're asking these questions? What's your theories? To discredit me. Look, if my family has a history of drug use, when I take the stand, why would you listen to the son of drug addicts? It's horrible. And you have to understand, I'm in a very privileged position where that is not the case for my family. But a lot of people who, again, victims of malpractice are disproportionately, disenfranchised. Honestly, people of color is the most common. That's the most popular category statistically when it comes to malpractice. So, sometimes there is a history of drug use. And when a defendant figures that out, all of a sudden, what you say on the stand matters zero. And again, you're always being compared to the doctor with a medical license. So it's fucked. But my deposition went really well because I seem like an upstanding member of society. They called me a high potential individual, which I thought was particularly fucking disgusting language. Because what the fuck does that mean? Like, I agree. But what the fuck? Like, what do you think they meant by that, Anyways, I'm a white kid in a nice quarter zip, and I'm going to a private university, and the dude tried to set me up with his daughter, the person, which I don't know if that was like a kink thing based on the nature of the surgery, but I didn't really want to go into it. But it was weird, I got some stats here. The reality that wealthier white patients are 80% less likely to experience malpractice, 90% more likely to win a suit if they do. That's not surprising. It's just the reality of the situation. Again, a situation where I'm benefiting. Randall Bovbjerg, who's a scholar in malpractice, details how poor people of color are disproportionately victims of malpractice, but when recounting their experience before a jury, they're euphemistically deemed unreliable witnesses. So, it's this fucked up duality. It's backwards. You have the people who are most prone to, situations in which malpractice exists, are also the people who are least equipped to win said cases of malpractice. Now, when this case was happening, I was an 18-year-old best known for having my brother being eliminated, getting 17th on Survivor. But to them, I was a high-potential, well-spoken individual who should be the father of the prosecutors or the defendant's grandchildren. So they wanted to settle because they knew if we went to court, I'd win. And the reason is I'm a reliable witness in court. people would listen to me. Also, you know, my entire case was in the clinical notes. So, like, what I was saying existed in the documentation. So, like, it was a really hard case to win. If it existed in the documentation, but I was not reputable, they could have won the case. If I was reputable and it didn't exist in the clinical notes, I would have lost the case. But it all lined up for me. Everything. They sought to settle. They were terrified by my winsome personality, Jewish charm, 4-pack. But we had to discuss compensation, right? Because how do we arrive at a number? It seems like it'd be pretty random. Now, so much of how compensation works in malpractice is it relies on the doctor's insurance. 4-pack. Yeah. You guys saw it. So, when you sue a doctor, you don't get the money that they have, right? You get their insurance that they take out, something called malpractice insurance. Now, if they take out the biggest kind of malpractice insurance, the most expensive one, that's great for the person suing because they have a lot of money to give. But it is not a requirement for practicing doctors. Some hospitals require it. So, like, a really nice, like, the Cleveland Clinic is a really nice hospital. They require all their doctors to have malpractice insurance. But hospitals that are not as nice, maybe in worse areas most often, they do not require that. And this is where it gets a little dicey. Because what happens if you don't have malpractice insurance? What do you think? I sue someone, I win. Let's say I win $100,000. They have no insurance. Where do you think that money comes from? Never see it. Not once. Because it should come from the doctor themselves, but the doctors declare bankruptcy. And it's not like it's going to kill their reputation. It doesn't fucking matter. They don't work at like a prestigious hospital. And so many of them stow away their assets in like their house, which in some states is like an untouchable asset. The bank can't seize that. So they have like a big ass mansion and then like no money on the books. So you sue them, you win, and then you walk away. You're like, yes. That's it. Again, the places where doctors are less likely to have insurance, it's called going bare, B-A-R-E. Poorer communities. More rundown hospitals. Like the Enron guys with their Florida houses, it's the exact same thing. It's Homestead Act is what it's called. So fortunately, in my case, it was a nice hospital. The doctor had a lot of insurance, so I was compensated, right? And all this to say, the reason why my case went as well as it did is because I had everything in the world going for me. Everything. Like, demographically, I'm a straight white dude, middle class. That all helps. So first of all, I'm a reliable witness, and second of all, I have the means to get a lawyer and get an expert witness and do this kind of research and be educated enough to figure all this shit out. That's the first part. The second part is my entire case lined up perfectly with the documentation of which I have no control over. Because the doctor could have just been lazy that day and not wrote the clinical notes, or not been exact to their clinical notes, or God forbid, I forget exactly what he told me. Maybe he did do something wrong, but I couldn't quite identify what he said. And then it wouldn't match up, and I would look like a liar. That all lined up as well. So, my situation was perfect. And even still, it was a 2-year drawn-out legal process. And it worked out for me, but it doesn't work out for most. In fact, I'm like really the exception. And doing all of this made me think, oh shit, this is horrible. And it made me not want to be a lawyer, because what's the fucking point? But gotta try to do something. We did not go to court. We settled. Medical malpractice is a fucked up field, and most fields of law are like that. And that shouldn't come as a surprise, right? Like, privilege is baked into every fucking field you're ever gonna confront. You want to go into programming, you're gonna find these kinds of issues pop up, but I'm particularly familiar with this one. And that's it. That's my story. Thank you, guys. Thanks for sharing. No, it's fine. I'm not sensitive about this kind of thing. This is fine. I think it's interesting to talk about. I gotta check when cameos are due because we might be pushing it. Yeah, if cameo's doing 48 minutes, we're gonna have to go do those. You guys enjoy that? Yeah. Was that fun? I think next time I'm gonna do another one of these, but it's gonna be much less serious. There's a couple different topics I want to talk about that just, would be fun. Sorry about your ball. It's alright. It happens. The next story will be how I lost my other ball. Yes, it was on the wall. Attack of the 50-foot meatball. Can you share how much the settlement was? No, I don't want to share that, but it was a lot of money. What happened to doctor? They're still practicing. They're probably a good doctor. As far as I know, I believe it. It just, my case was my case. Are you self-conscious of it? No, not at all. It's obviously, it's hard for you guys to understand, but it's really not a big deal. Lifestyle-wise, it changes nothing. Cosmetically, it's not even, there's a difference, but it's not, grotesque or anything. It's just, it's fine. What do you think of Vrabel being fired? Stupid. You don't fire Mike Vrabel. Do you have a ball implant? They asked me if I wanted one, and I asked for a really big one, and then they stopped talking to me. Having kids might be harder? No, it's not. It's like kidneys, is the way I explain it. It's like, you could perfectly function with one kidney. The one kidney takes over for the other. But if you lose that kidney, you're fucked. I can survive without my other testicle, but then I'll be infertile and everything that comes with that. But it's the same difference. It's just... What is it, plasticity? You also have one ball. If we combine our powers, Nick, oh my god. Yeah, no problem, Shania. He wears a cup all the time. I don't. I should, though. Especially for some of the competitions, I really should. They asked me in casting, is this going to be a problem? Because they needed a doctor to sign off on it. And I'm like, if you have a mechanical bull competition, it might be. Meanwhile, if that 50-foot meatball hit me in the wrong spot... Balance beam? Luckily, I wasn't competing there. Yeah, good luck, Shania. Burn view. Did the meatball hurt? Yes. That shit hit hard. It wasn't horrible, but if you could turn to the side and it was alright. But if you just took that shit to the spot, oh my god. I mean, you know, it was fine. It worked out. Everything kind of works out in one way or another. You know, I think this story was obviously a central part of my getting on Big Brother. It's pushed me closer to law. It's, you know, no complaints from me. I would do the trade again. Well, not now, because I don't have another one to spare, but theoretically. Yeah, I think they're still practicing. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a good doctor. Is this why you want to do pro bono law? Yeah, it's a large part of it. And I'm not going to lie. Like, it's not like I'm going to be doing pro bono law my entire life. It's just, I think it's a great place to gain experience and also help out. In like and you know, it's not just being a positive force in the world. It's not like, I don't mean to be like pretentious. It's more just like, I think that'll be very fulfilling and a good thing to do. What kind of law will you practice? Fuck knows. I don't even know if I'm gonna. The plan is to go to law school, but again. Yeah, you know, I'm a senior in college. I'm really not as decided on what I'm doing as I should be. And Big Brother did not exactly make it easier. It kind of made it more complicated. Can you stay advantage for law? I don't know. It's on the board for sure. Okay, everyone, I'm gonna get off. America and I have to do our cameos. We have like a lot to do tonight. I want to say thank you all so much. I really enjoyed the stream. I'm definitely going to do more of this. Raid Kelly from Survivor 45? Fuck yeah. You kidding me? What's her stream? Oh, it's amazing. Absolutely. Alright, I'm raiding Kelly. Yo, be super nice. Kelly's the GOAT. You guys already know that. Thank you guys so much. Probably gonna stream tomorrow. But, you know, I'll tweet out if I'm not. Thank you guys.